So the 7.3 has been given the quarter tank problem. I figured just because of the pickup is broken off. Sure enough, it's broken off. I pulled the tank out, and I figured I'd do the hutch mod, which essentially gets rid of the restriction of the filters inside this little housing here and moves the return away from the pickup so it doesn't aerate the fuel. But I got a new pickup screen. Comes with the hutch mod is from Driven Diesel, by the way. It's basically it gets rid of the restriction inside the tank and puts a nice big pre-pump filter for the fuel system. So I'm going to be installing that. Comes with this nice little hanger. But yeah, it pretty much just gets rid of this kind of pre-screen filter deal that Ford thought was a good idea. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to start assembling the little pieces and show you what it looks like. Take a pair of side cutters, cut the old clamps off, pull the crappy little filter screen out. Once you take the little screen off, you just slide your compression fitting over the return, and then this will go on here like this and move the return further away from the pickup. So that's what the return looks like. Like I said, all this is a compression fitting, so you just tighten this down, this little ferrule down inside of here. And it's the same deal for the feed line. This is just going to go on here, and then the new pickup screen will go on that. So like I said, pretty straightforward. And then you run the fuel on, which I'll get to that later. So here's a closer look inside the pickup screen. Like I said, this does away with it entirely, and so that way you can change the filters without having to actually drop the sending unit out, which is so stupid. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but yeah, I've never changed these. These are 200,000+ miles, and like I said, the new pickup screen come with new pump screen. So yeah, we throw this in the garbage now. This is one less failure point to worry about. I almost forgot. You want to take a 3/8 drill bit and drill a hole all the way through this, because there's a stopper about this far down, and if you just put it up to where it's flush, it'll hit the bottom of the tank. So you want to take a drill bit and drill that out. That way you can slide this all the way up and down and have more adjustment that way, so you don't hit the bottom of the tank. So after a couple test fittings, I got everything pretty much where I want it. This is the best place for the return I've seen, because if you have it straight down, well, it's too far down and it'll hit the bottom of the tank. And then if you have it the other way, it interferes with the sending unit. So this is what it looks like. So I'm getting ready to run the new fuel line that came with the hutch mod kit. And they just kind of want you to slide the end of the hose over the sending unit and then just hose clamp it, which I mean, that would probably be okay, but since I had some leftover AN fittings from when I did the fuel system on the blue car, I figured I would just convert it. This is all 8 AN stuff. So this is a BTR adapter for 3/8 to 8 AN feed for the sending unit. There's the part number, so I'll show you that on there. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. It just slides onto the fitting here and locks, and then you can screw your AN fitting onto it just like that. So fuel sending units all back together. We're just gonna leave the stock feed hanging there, so we're not gonna ever use it again. So stock return, we'll put the tank back up, measure about how much we need and where we want to mount the remote filter. Mounting the fuel filter bracket right now, pretty straightforward. Just put it wherever you can fit it, where you can get to the filter, because it'll be mounted right here. So that's what I'm doing with it, because the body mount's here. You know, it's kind of out of the way, and I got a little bit of help today. That's why it's going so well. There you go. Thanks for your help today, bud. Filter housing fully mounted. Got the line ran, hooked up, push lock. I decided to move it up a little bit. Just took this bracket loose right here. I'm probably going to put some loom on this. That way it doesn't rub right here. because there's nowhere else really good to put it. So I'll have to massage this bracket a little bit, or maybe move these bulkhead connectors. So now moving on to the fuel pump. This is the stock Bosch pump that comes on all the Super Duty 7.3s. I've never replaced this one. This is the original one. So I didn't want to do regulated return, all that fun stuff. It's too expensive for what I'm going to do. You know, this thing's not going to make over 450 horsepower anyway. So didn't want to go too crazy on the fuel system. So between the Hutch mod and what I'm about to show you on the AEM pump here, I think this will be more than sufficient for what I want to do. So I wanted something that fit in the stock hanger, in the stock location, and use the stock wiring, so I didn't have to change any of that. So I found this AEM pump. There's the part number. This is a 400 LPH or 100 gallon per hour pump, and the stock one is 30 gallons per hour. So this should be, you know, this is way overkill for what I'm doing. But I'm doing 8 AN feed, and then the stock outlet will clip onto that. Let's see if it'll focus. There we go. This is the inlet fitting that I'm using, and there's the outlet. So we'll get this all installed and show you what it looks like. All right, so we're all done underneath. Got the Hutch mod done, got the filter mounted, got the lines ran, got all the fittings plumbed, got the big fuel pump swapped in, the stock hanger, 8 AN feed, stock outlet. So yeah, that's pretty much it for underneath. Can't think of anything else, so there we go. All right, cool. We got the fuel system all done. We'll just work our way forward. Gonna install the PHP hydro with Brian's tunes from Jelly Built. The truck's got a TS6 from Swamps, RIP Swamps. But it's 2023. If you haven't watched a 7.3 getting a chip installed on it by now, well, there's plenty of other videos on how to do that. So I will bang this together and come back when it's done. Here's the tune list from Brian. Bing. All done. All right, so I've worked my way up to the engine bay. I got everything done fuel system wise on the underside of the truck, and the new tunes in and stuff. So we're up to the front of the engine bay, the last part, the nitty gritty. We got a set of 205/30 full force hybrid injectors. Since this is a PMR engine, I'm not going too crazy with horsepower. I don't want to, or torque really is what breaks these engines, but I don't want to scatter the rods. So we're just got a little mild 205/30 from full force, and then a few more fuel system mods to support the added power and new fuel system. We have some high flow banjo bolts that go in the cylinder head, as well as some high flow CVD fittings that get rid of the stock check valves that are kind of restrictive. Let's see, what else do we have? We have the high pressure oil crossover that connects both the cylinder heads together to help with injection pressure spikes. So you'll have less of that since you actually have the two cylinder heads connected and they're not dead-headed on each side. And then we have, this is all riffraff, by the way. I got all this stuff from riffraff. And then Brian hooked me up with these injectors. So riffraff's FRX is pretty trick. It connects the fuel bowl and the two cylinder heads together to allow air to go through the heads, and it doesn't force it all through the injectors, and you can up your fuel pressure a little bit too. So that's pretty much it for that. I'll start putting it all together, and this is going to be kind of time consuming, but we'll get it done eventually. So I'm going to start tearing this poor thing apart. I know we got to get the charge pipes off on each side, and I know I got to move the alternator to get to the banjo bolt on the driver's side head. Pull the intake off, because we got to get the valve covers, and yeah, so I'm going to just start knocking this stuff out. Got all the intake stuff pulled off. I'll probably start with the banjo bolt fittings in the cylinder head. So I'll start pulling the alternator and bracketry off next. So you just buzz the power steering and alternator bracket loose, move it forward, 1/4 inch drive ratchet down in there, and that's the banjo bolt. Just gotta remove it now. So here's the riffraff banjo on the left and the stock forward one on the right. Apparently these become a restriction in the fuel system. So that's us installed right there. Now we gotta do the other head, and then we'll do the oil crossover, the injectors, and then start working on the fuel bowl last. All right, me and Reggie are all done for the night. So time to go to bed. Didn't get everything done, but we'll finish it up tomorrow. Or oh yeah, big surprise. Got parts of the parts washer cleaning the intake and the valve covers up, because if it don't shine, it ain't mine. So I got the stock check valve out of the driver's side head. I'm replacing them with the high flow CVD fittings, which is just check valve delete. These are fine for stock, but they're supposed to help regulate fuel pressure. But when you go use the FRX from Riffraff, you really don't need these. So these flow 200% more fuel, I believe. I mean, you don't want to run out of fuel, because that's what cools the injector tips. So always good to have an adequate amount of fuel. I usually try and build fuel systems overkill for more than what I need, just in case something happens. You never know. And plus, that way you don't have to change it in the future. So let's get these installed. I mean, just imagine spending thousands of dollars on a 7.3 liter, 444 cubic inch fucking turd. Man, I ain't gonna lie. Getting that passenger side CVD fitting out, that shit is ass. You can't see it, can't reach it. I ended up using a 9/16 line wrench that I cut the other half off of. It's 12 point to even get it broke loose, so that worked well. And then I just used my 3/8 drive 9/16 to get the other side of the fitting out. So yeah, that sucks. That's the worst part of the job so far. All right, so I got the passenger side CVD fitting in. You can see this little booger right there. There it is. Got to change the Viton sleeve on the other side of the fitting, and then it'll be done. Yeah, this is in the ass crack of the engine. Not the most fun thing in the world. All injectors out. Changing 7.3 injectors aren't a big deal. Just a couple things to make sure you look out for. The oil deflectors that bolt to the bracket that hold down the injector, you make sure you want to have these on there. If your new injectors don't come with them, make sure you swap them out off your old injectors, because this, after the injector fires, the excess oil has to go somewhere, and if it just fires it out in the valve cover, it can aerate the oil. It can cause a couple problems down the road, I would say. So make sure these are on there, because this directs oil back down to the oil pan, so the low pressure oil pump can reuse that oil. And make sure the crush washer comes out with the injector. You don't want that sticking down in there in the cup. And yeah, I guess another thing, if you have shitty O-rings that come apart, make sure you don't drop them down in the cup, because they'll be hard to get out. But that's pretty much it on this 7.3 injectors. Just a direct swap. And these, they hold down both torque to, I think 120 inch-pounds, something like that. I usually take them to about 150. So that's it. 205/30s installed. We're going back with the valve cover. All right, now I'm going to show you the age-old mod of removing the check valve and rod out of the fuel bowl. So take your precision fuel bowl cap remover, and these are T20s. We're going to buzz these out, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, then. So we got this out of here. All you do, drop everything out of it. Then you get a nice free-flowing pathway for the fuel to go. So we're going to reinstall this now. That's all you got to do. Now, truck go faster. Oh yeah. So the last mod's going to be the Riffraff FRX or fuel rail crossover. It connects to the fuel bowl here where the old regulator goes, and then connects the 2 cylinder heads together to give air an alternate path, the way it doesn't have to go through the injectors. So I'm using the 72 pound spring because race truck, obviously. And then we got some new O-rings, and we'll bolt this on, and we should be getting closer to fire this thing up. That's pretty much done. We're just gonna start buttoning things up now. Got the FRX done. That runs to this cylinder head and that port. And then the driver's side head port is back there. So now we're gonna change the oil and start putting everything back together. So I was gonna do the HPX oil crossover, but I quickly realized that I ordered the wrong year model oil crossover. This is for an OBS. I need one for a late 99 to 03 7.3. So I'll have to talk to Riff Raff, get this one back, but this isn't a big deal. These connect this, and it's really straightforward. So I probably won't even show you that, but that's how you do it. Pretty simple. Back together. Flavor of the month is Schaefer's 15W40. All right, we're ready for first fire up. It ain't gonna start. These batteries are 7 years old, so I've got the jump box on it, but make sure it's not hydrolocked, turns over good. You should want to fire off after a while. So here we go. Yeah, these batteries are ass full. Like a top. So that's everything all done and back together. Test drove and running good. You know, it took about a week of a couple hours a day working before work to get it done, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it is a 7.3 after all, so you got to limit your expectations on what you want performance wise. So but it runs good. It'll outrun a new stock truck, I would say. I would hope anyway. So I mean, overall, is it worth doing all this and spending all this money? Absolutely not. You're better off modifying something other than this, but it's a fun experience, and it's kind of cool to have a 7.3 that runs pretty good. I'd say it makes between 400 and 450 horsepower. I know that sounds kind of lame, but I mean, that's pretty good for a PMR 7.3. So next week I should be able to take it to the drag strip, see if we can knock a few tenths off the 1/8 mile, see if we can get it to run in the 8s, and see if we can get it in the 400s on the dyno. So stay tuned for that. Look out for that next couple weeks. Thanks.